He said, I know, I want to go see some hoes. You give me some gas money? At 2 o'clock in the morning, there's no need for a 16-year-old to be outside. Like, I don't really get into the debating about who pays. Nobody is above examination.
Unofficial Therapy, it's your girl Waheeda. I'm back and I'm joined with my friend Nashawn. And today we're going to talk about everything as it relates to heart healing and mental health. Hey Nashawn, what's up?
Hey, peace. What's up?
So let's start off the day correctly with what are you most grateful for today?
I'm most grateful that I woke up this morning and I'm in good health. My kids are in good health.
Mm-hmm.
And my cousin's friends with me today.
So let's get into it. Growing up in Marcy, let's talk about your childhood.
My childhood was my childhood.
Uh-huh.
I grew up, I was born in Cumberland Hospital first and foremost. That's, if you don't know about that, that's Fort Greene.
Uh-huh.
And I'm a project kid, project hospital kid. My mother couldn't make it to the regular hospital. She had me in the projects. Yeah.
What are some of your favorite memories growing up in Marcy?
I got a lot of memories everywhere, so it's not like one place. I got a lot of memories because I played basketball.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to a lot of different projects in Ball. I went to a lot of different boroughs in Ball at like the age of 11.
Oh, that's right. Like you were a part of like a league?
Yeah, I played for Brooklyn, USA at the time.
Okay.
And I just was everywhere. So a lot of my memories come from almost the whole Brooklyn. I really don't have like set memories at one place.
Mm-hmm.
Because we was everywhere. Like, and my mother never like was moving around. Like she always had her shit together.
Mm-hmm. Talk to me about your mom. Was she like strict? Was she loving?
I ain't gonna say she was strict. I ain't gonna say she wasn't strict. It just depended on certain things for the most part. Like, she tell you don't go somewhere, you go somewhere, ass kicking. You know what I'm saying? Like, just regular stuff. She wasn't like too strict though.
She was cool?
Yeah, she was cool. As an adult, and you gotta look back at your parent, my mom's wasn't like, I heard horror stories of people parents. I don't got those. I got horror stories, but I don't got the horror stories of her being on me like that. It's horror stories, clearly. Everybody gonna have horror stories about their parents.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't got them type of horror stories.
What about your dad?
We was just talking about, in the house earlier today, we was talking about people, fathers that's attentive and fathers that's not.
Yeah.
So my pops wasn't attentive. He was a father. He wasn't attentive though.
Mm-hmm.
It was like fear. You know what I'm saying? Like he was a feared person. So
his presence was felt.
Yeah, his presence was definitely felt. Like you ain't play with him. Like the way that I raise my kids now is total opposite than how my father raised me, far as being able to talk to them, right? So I came to the conclusion that I wanted to have a relationship with my son, but not like that's my friend relationship. It's going to be a father relationship, father and son relationship, but my son could call me and have conversations with me about anything under the sun.
That's wonderful.
I couldn't have these conversations with my father because he was like, it was like, damn, I'd rather go talk to the dudes outside than go talk to this guy.
So your dad was kind of unapproachable.
Yeah, but that's how he was, just being from Fort Greene, raised in Fort Greene, and just being who he was. He always was the same way. He never was different to everybody. So it was like, even we had to hit the same way he treated people in the street, like conversation-wise, was the same way that it's the same way we got it. You know what I'm saying? Like, we couldn't have certain conversations with him.
That's so interesting. And then you talk about how you are as a father, and how do you think your kids would describe you?
Well, me and my 20-year-old just had a conversation about me, because now he's coming to the reflecting stage of his life, right? He's 19, he'll be 20 March 20th. So now he's having this reflection thing in his mind now. So all the things that I was telling him when he was younger, he thought I was crazy. Because it's like, oh, my dad is crazy, my dad is this. But what we don't realize that when we're in our teens, that's really like an emotional, vulnerable state for us, right? So even though your parents might be telling you the proper way of living and the proper principles, you're going to be in your emotions as a teenager.
Okay.
So from my experience with my son is, as a teenager, he always was emotional. So you couldn't talk to him. He always thought you was against him and things of that. But now that he's entering this new age, which is 20, he starts to reflect on it, and he sees like, damn, I don't got it bad, but I should listen more. Because now the things that you were telling me when I was a teenager, I actually see that you meant good for me.
Exactly. That's beautiful. Do you enjoy being a dad? Because it feels like every time we talk, that's your kids always come up.
Yes. I love my sons. I got 2 sons. I love them. And that was the difference for me. Like, it wasn't like everybody got this, we talk about this walk on water moment. Everybody have a walk on water moment in life, and you got to walk on water in a metaphoric term.
Okay.
So
explain that.
Basically, like how they said Jesus walked on water.
Mm-hmm.
It's a path that you got to take or you're going to drown. Mm-hmm. So in this path, this is your walk on water moment to prove yourself who you are. Mm-hmm. So with my sons, I just proved myself who I really was and what I really wanted as far as a father figure in my life, because I got my information from the streets.
Yeah, you talk about that. You talk about how like you couldn't go to your dad. So what would you ask people outside? Like, how would you consult with them?
My father was a street guy. Like, he was a street guy. So the principles he stood on is basically the same principles, the street principles that everybody stood on in the street. But I could ask these guys that. I can't ask my father that. It felt weird. Like, you couldn't talk to him. He's unapproachable. So I could go ask all my homeboys in the street at 12, 13, 11 years old these questions, but I could ask my father that. But my father got the same principles as them, so it was like they was technically raising me like my father would. But it was more conversation-wise speaking to them.
And it's so funny because now your kids are able to talk to you in that way.
Yeah. They're able to talk to me and say things to me as individuals. Not friendship stuff, because that friendship stuff with kids don't work.
So how do you handle the boundaries? How do you separate that as a parent?
They know that this is still dad. Mm-hmm. This is still dad. The only time my youngest son crossed the line was he called me one time at 2:00 in the morning, and he got a license and he got a car. He called me. He said, Dad, I said, what's up? I said, yo, it's 2:00 in the morning. He said, I know, I want to go see some hoes. You give me some gas money? I was like, yo, wait, tell me. I said, yo, you know it's 2:00 in the morning. I'm your father, right? You're not going to see no hoes, and I'm not sending you no gas money. So then I called my my oldest son. He was sleeping. And I said, yo, go in the room and take that boy keys. You're responsible for if he leave his house. And he went and took the keys. That's the only time I could say my youngest son crossed the line far as like I could tell my dad any and everything. Like,
yeah,
I'm not giving you gas money to go see no hoes at 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
At 2:00 in the morning, there's no need for a 16-year-old to be outside. Like,
exactly.
All type of stuff is outside.
It's taking place at that time.
Like,
yes.
You driving a car, you got drunk drivers outside, you got crooked police, all type of stuff going outside. No, you stay in the house, bro. Going to see some hoes, yes. I guess I was a cock blocker that day.
So it's so funny because I think about like, what would I tell my 18-year-old self now, right? What do you think you would want to tell your 18-year-old self?
Let your process be your process. I don't regret nothing. And I've been through a lot. I don't regret nothing because it wouldn't have got me to here, to this place that I'm in now.
And mentally,
physically, everything. I'm in a nice place. I'm alive, which is the blessing of all blessings. I have my health, another blessing. I'm mentally capable to speak and things.
Let's talk about, you and I, we were talking about relationships the other day. So you're raising these boys. I'm sure they have a lot of questions as it relates to women.
Yes.
What type of advice are you giving these boys?
All right, so both of them got girlfriends. Well, my oldest son is in the middle of talking and dating some girl. I don't know. He can complicate it, I guess, whatever. But my youngest son got a girlfriend. So, I mean, how I raised them and how I talk to them about women, I don't gender blame. You're never going to hear me gender blaming. I'm not for the gender blaming. I don't pin women against men. I don't pin men against women. I bear witness to human beings.
Yes, I love that.
That's my whole thing. I'm gonna bear witness to human beings because human beings have a certain behavior. And if you don't understand a human being behavior, then you won't understand a lot of things in life. And that's just come from me just understanding certain things. So I tell them about the behavior of a human being. And you got to see the characteristics before you get into it. Because one thing I learned about society is we blame women for stuff, then we go around and blame men for stuff. And then it's like, all men are dogs, all women are gardening tools, hookers, or whatever the hell you want to call them. It's like, no, it's the human being. If a person has a certain behavior and it comes from a toxic place, dysfunction in the family, they're going to behave a certain way.
Okay.
So you have to now understand that, okay, if I'm messing with somebody and let's just say, I don't want to like put nobody in no category, but let's say just for hypothetical, just for the conversation. I'm dating a girl from the projects. A project girl is going to have a certain behavior. Not all, but they're going to have a certain behavior that, let's say, a suburban person wouldn't have.
So what you're trying to say is like, I think socioeconomic.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what you mean.
Yeah.
Like, depending on the person's social status and their upbringing and their religion and their...
all of that plays a part.
Right. All of these things create the human being that's in front of you.
Yes.
And then based on those little things and their behavior and their personality, based on those things...
that's going to tell you the type of person you're dealing with.
Yes.
That's going to tell you full-blown who you're dealing with, and that's going to show you what we know from the history of time within that human being.
So how are you describing the qualities of a good woman to your sons?
So basically, for instance, my son, my oldest son, he does like little gestures. Like he called me one day, he said, "Daddy, I brought flowers for the girl I'm dating." Well, I don't know if this was the current girl or a girl before that, but whatever the case may be, let's just say. He brought flowers for this current for the girl that he was dating or talking to, whatever. And she took that as a trauma space in her life. Because she was like, anytime a guy ever brought me roses was only to have sex with me. But that wasn't my son's intention.
Yeah. So
I had to tell my son, like, look, you see that behavior right there? That's what you don't want to deal with. Because at 19, she got to figure herself out. You can't waste your time trying to help somebody else out. You in your 20s, bro. Your 20s, you're supposed to be learning yourself, learning your life.
And enjoying your life.
Yes, getting yourself together.
Yeah.
You don't got time to work on somebody else because now at that point, you're trauma bonding. And you don't need to trauma bond with nobody because you're going to be stuck eventually. Now you have a kid with her. All that plays into part. So you got to realize what you getting into. When you see signs, don't ignore them. No, understand that's the person. And there's nothing wrong. There's no beef. I don't want beef with nobody. You just who you are.
What are some signs that people should be looking out for from your perspective when it comes to dating? I feel like I'm always the angry one. Most of the people that I interact with, they're the calm, gentle one, and I'm the one that's like, misguided anger, right? So like that could be seen as
baggage.
Something
that's
toxic.
Baggage, yeah. You just got like, for me, because I can't speak for nobody else, I could speak for me, and if somebody take my insight and say, okay, let me try to implement this in my life, that's all you could really do. But for me, I look at the way a person carry themselves, their conversation, like certain things gonna tell you about, like the first, like I started to now, when I talk to women, I say, what's the last book you read?
Exactly. That's important. Yes. What are you feeding your brain?
Yeah. So if she says, oh, I don't read books, no disrespect, you're just not for me.
Yeah.
And it's fine. There's no beef. You're just not for me. That will automatically tell me, because I don't need to know anything else. You don't read books.
So you're not evolving.
You're not evolving at all. You don't know certain things. I don't really like. Don't tell me you going on Instagram to learn. You going on Twitter to learn. That's not education to me.
Yeah.
You can use it for a tool education. That's not education to me.
That's not the primary source of education.
That's not for me.
Understood.
I need to know what's the last book you read. Because also by reading books, it expands your vocabulary.
Absolutely.
And it helps your mind mentally.
Yes.
So it's a lot. It's a lot.
When we think about these boys, what are some things that they should be looking out for? You know, these young guys are dating girls, and like you said, I don't want to use gender, but what are some things we should be looking out for when we're evolving ourselves?
You gotta be mentally attached to somebody. The physical only gonna last but so long. It's the mental that's gonna take you above and beyond, because your mental knowledge is infinite. You always gonna learn. Mm-hmm. The physical is gonna break down. So what you gonna go to the next girl that look good? They all dumb as doorknobs, but you're gonna keep going to the next girl because she looks good, or the next guy because he looks good, and they have nothing upstairs. So you have to figure out what's upstairs first. That's first and foremost. It's upstairs that count. Once you build the upstairs and you see the type of person they are, then you can understand certain things about why they may be in dysfunctional situations, why they carry baggage from their last 7 relationships into this one. That's why the mental, to me, is the number one rule. You got to have a mental, bro. You got to. You have to. Your mental got to be it got to be there.
You just not elevated. You have to be. I feel like when we going back to like anger. Anger is a common emotion that most people feel, and I feel like because I am a feeler, I tend to act like a sponge and soak up the feelings of others around me. And so I tend to project that out in like intimate spaces because that's where I'm safe. But only a person that takes time to understand would recognize like, wow, and this is why this person might feel
But that's
frustrated.
A person that wants to learn you.
Mm-hmm.
Because mentally you're going to be able to articulate these things. So they're going to notice. You get what I'm saying? And they can say, yo, you a little too emotional for my liking. Rather than get a full-blown relationship with you in 6 months, 7 months, and you start going emotionally crazy. And they, whoa, that's a problem now. You get what I'm saying? But you got to take time to learn. That's why I said the mental, you got to learn the mental. The mental is the most important thing for me.
Most important thing.
For me, it's the most important.
So that's what you teach your sons?
Yep.
The mental chemistry.
The mental chemistry.
Okay, now Wallow had a really nice piece where he says that men should not date when they're broke, when they're working on themselves. Do you agree with that concept? And are you telling your kids that? I mean, clearly your boys are young, so it's not like they're in their careers yet. But do you believe that in the early stages, you should not be looking for a relationship and you should really work on yourself and get yourself in the financial position you need to be before you explore relationships?
Okay, so I'm going to do how my mother used to tell me, because my mother used to give me jewels. Like, you don't need to be in a relationship in school. You need to focus on school.
Exactly.
So I would now take that translate that into what you just said. When you young, you should focus on learning yourself. I don't care about finances. When like people take this finance, and I get it. Money is a big thing in the world, but money also corrupts people.
Yeah.
It made people turn into something that is just nasty. It's nasty. So I'm not really going to tell somebody, get your money up. I'm not telling nobody that. That's not what I will tell somebody.
Me either.
I would tell you, get yourself right first.
Yeah.
And whatever you feel yourself need to be to do what you need to do, that's what you need to do. But I can't tell you, get your money up, get your bag. I'm not doing that. That's not for me to say.
And I think that's kind of, to some degree, the wrong message.
That is, because this is why you got transactional relationships, because people think by having their bag up, everything is transactional. So we don't even like each other. I just like what you paying and doing for me.
Yeah, and that's not a real relationship.
It's tangible. That's tangible. It can be taken away. Yes. And then people wonder why we find ourselves in these domestic violence situations where men control women, women control men because of finance. This is why.
Yeah. So you and I, we were talking about transactional relationships, and that's kind of what we notice a lot now. And even when you're starting new relationships, you notice it's always about, are we going to do this together? Are we going here? Are we doing this?
And I believe in being a gentleman. Don't get it messed up. I believe in being a gentleman, right? So I believe in, yes, should you court a woman or court a woman, however the word is, court a woman or whatever, I feel like you should, right? To a certain point. Because now when you do it too much, it now becomes an entitlement thing now. The person now feels entitled to you now. Like, oh, you took me to Philippe Child's last week. Oh, why we can't go somewhere better? You get what I'm saying? So now, to me, at least,
I believe
it comes like that.
Okay, that's fine. I believe that you should genuinely like the person.
Absolutely.
And genuinely want to be wherever that person is.
Absolutely.
And if it's fancy places, then that's fine.
And if it's not for you, it's not for you.
But if it's the pizzeria, that's okay too.
Exactly. If you don't like those type of things, then there's a lot of women that's just not for you. And you just got to understand that perspective too. Like, if you don't like women who making whatever they making or doing a certain lifestyle that they're doing, it's fine to say, you know what, those women are not for me. It's fine. But we got this thing where, due to social media, everything is for us. Like, everything. Everybody's a cook. Nobody wants to help prepare the food. Everybody is just a cook. I'm the main cook in the house. No, you still need people that understand their roles. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so talk to me more about that, this social media stuff. So, what's something that really strikes out to you that you don't like?
What grind my gears? Let me see. I don't really.
You know what's so funny? Because for me, social media, I only look at what I like.
Yeah, that's me too.
I see something.
I don't really have no gripes because I don't be paying attention to half these people anyway.
Yeah.
So it's I don't pay attention to people enough to say what. Because I could turn my phone off.
Exactly. I do believe that, telling men to... I think that when you're looking for a quality relationship with two human beings, I believe that, you just have to get to know the other person.
Yes, that's it.
Truly get to understand what they like, what they don't like. And you only know that through, trial and error. But a lot of times I feel like people give up. As soon as they find something they don't like, they're like, this is not going to work. I've been guilty of that. And I believe that you're supposed to still give it some time.
To a degree, because some stuff is just so, like I said before, a lot of stuff leading to bigger stuff, right? So if you don't see certain things, it's just going to lead into a bigger stuff. Now,
so give me some examples of what are things that you're looking for.
If somebody is too pushing the money situation, I really ain't gonna deal with a person like that, rather it's male or female.
Yeah.
I don't want you to be my friend.
So any transactional relationships.
I'm not really on that type of time.
That's a good
But that's period. It's not even about men, women.
Yeah.
It's period. I'm not about to hear you talk about finances all day. I'm not about to hear you talk about none of that all day, because for me, life is more than financial. Does finances count? Yes, but I don't mean we got to talk about that every single day, and that makes or break our conversation a day. I just not with that. So it's not me.
So transactional relationships are not for you.
Men, women, I'm not dealing with that.
And then we talk about this statement. It says, okay, so what about this statement? It says, when you meet a woman, you have to treat her like God gave her to you. Do you believe in that?
Does she treat me like God gave?
Exactly.
Exactly. Does she treat me like God gave me to her? And the answer is no. Then why should I treat you like God gave you to me?
Yeah. So you like relationships being reciprocal.
Yes.
It's very important.
Nothing should be one-sided.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Nothing should be one-sided. Everything has a balance. The universe is balanced. And it's balanced for a reason. When one thing is out of whack, everything falls to shit.
So in relationships, you believe that, I mean, Cameron said it one time where he was like, he only is attracted to women that like him. So if they're giving him that energy, those are the only types of women that he's attracted to. And if he has to pursue women, he's not pursuing someone that...
Yeah, because it comes to a point, and I could agree with that to a certain degree
that he has to... He's not pursuing
because
someone
if she doesn't like you, so at this point, what do you have to do to make somebody like you? Mm-hmm. Why do I have to prove myself to make you like me? Mm-hmm. If there's nothing there, there's nothing there. We don't even have to be around the bush. You could just say, oh, there's nothing there, Nashawn. Cool. We better off friends. Cool. But to drive around the block with me all the time, yeah, that's actually manipulative. So I could agree with that to a degree, absolutely.
Do you feel like it's natural for men to be monogamous?
Yes.
Well, what's up with this polygamy stuff?
A bunch of niggas that want to cheat and want to be okay with it. And that's just how I look at it. And that's just the way I see it. I'm not here to debate nobody. I don't care about none of that. How I see it is a bunch of motherfuckers that want to cheat. Because ask yourself, would you let a woman do that to you? And if the answer is no, so you think it's right to do that to a woman?
It's becoming normalized now, though.
Yeah, because also people are falling for it. When something becomes popular and it gets influenced by the certain people start doing it. That's always been the land of the law of the land. I feel like no one's truly happy with that lifestyle. No.
It doesn't bring long-term
and if you
satisfaction.
Exactly, and if you are happy, I commend you.
Yeah,
that's
good
what you do. That's what you do. But for me, I'm not debating nobody. I'm not arguing nobody about this. For me, no.
Polygamy is a no.
No, it's not it for me.
And it's not the way naturally some men are wired.
I'm not.
You don't think so? You feel like a man could just be with one woman and be happy?
Yes, absolutely. I really, really deep down believe that. I bear witness to that. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's just that we live in a society that okays a lot of stuff, and we get a lot of false information and misinformation, and we run with it because, once again, it makes our story feel better. Right? So if I'm all for polygamy, I'm going to try to tell everybody, this is fine. This is great. You don't understand the benefits of this, because I want you to believe that this is a real thing. Why would I tell you the cons in it? Then you will be like, yeah, this is a bunch of bullshit.
So you feel like most people that are promoting that lifestyle, they're only talking about the pros and not the negative.
Like what's the pro? What is it? I don't see. I also grew up under the 5% Nation. Like, I got the 5% Nation teachers in me. Like, it's a whole different. I come from a whole different class of people. Like, my knowledge and the things that I know is a different class. Like, it's just different. So a lot of the stuff that people be out here promoting and talking, it's nonsense to me. It's nonsense.
I think a lot of what people promote, it feels like destruction.
Absolutely.
Like, this is how to destroy
it leads
your
to
life.
A bigger problem.
Yes.
It leads to a bigger problem because we just got finished talking about emotions, right? You think by having 3 women, that's 3 different emotions. 3 different emotions. And you got to deal with each emotion. And now you keep adding women. You setting yourself, but do you? It's not for me. Do you? But when you sit there, you think about this, and you start going through the science of human beings, no, bro. No.
I think about how do you find yourself resolving conflict in a relationship?
I talk everything out. I'm transparent. I am very transparent, and I'm not a bully. Because you find a lot of people in relationships, they bullies. And they don't know how to really have conversations because it's about the right or wrong thing.
Yeah.
It's not about a right or wrong thing in a relationship.
Yeah, or they can be dismissive.
Yes, it's not about a right or wrong thing in a relationship. It's let's get to the understanding. Let's come to a mutual understanding of this. Whatever we talking about, let's get to the understanding. That's it. It's not about, oh, you wrong, I'm right. Because once again, now when you start dealing with that, you start dealing with a man's ego, you start dealing with a woman's emotion side, and it's just too much. So let's just get to the understanding of it. Let's talk about how I might have got this, but once again, accountability. All of this stuff is about you knowing who you are and realizing how you may trigger somebody, right? So you might not even know you triggering somebody, but you actually might be triggering somebody. But now when the person tell you, hey, you know, you did this, that was kind of had me a little, and you could, okay, I'll tell you, and explain why you did it. You know what I'm saying? You don't gotta sit there and, oh, fuck that, this is how I am.
Or be defensive. Yeah. That's defensive.
Yes, right? Just talk about it. But you gotta be comfortable in yourself.
Yeah.
A lot of people not comfortable in themselves. And they want to believe that they comfortable in themselves, but they really not comfortable in themselves. They're not. Because if they were comfortable, we wouldn't have a lot of these problems that we having. This comes from a lot of people who's not comfortable. They're not comfortable. Rather, they want to be the Instagram relationships. They want to be the Instagram rappers. However you want to be, a lot of them not comfortable. Because I can't tell you what you should be. What I look like telling Waheeda, you need to be this. But that's not me. And I live my life through me. You want me to be something I'm not, you're never going to get that because it's not me. Yeah.
You have to be true to like your authentic self. Yeah.
But you got to know who you are. You got to understand you. Once you understand you, you can now open your wings and be a different person because you know you.
As you're teaching your sons how to navigate the relationship space, I think about what you said earlier, looking out for the red flags, right? But also talking about how to resolve conflict. In a healthy way, though.
Yes.
Right? So like trying to get a true understanding of the human being. So when conflicts come up, it's because there's some sort of like communication gap. And so how do we both get on the same page and fully understand each other? And
that's why the mental is mental. Because you got to be with a person who understands accountability. You can't be with a person who lack accountability. You trying to be, it's not going to work. I can't keep being accountable for the things that I'm doing, but you're not being accountable for the things you're doing. We're going to bump heads.
Yeah.
Because there's no conversation here. You did this and that's it. Once again, you have to come to an understanding.
Yeah.
So we both got to have accountability.
Yeah.
So it's just like, once it goes back to, you just got to know when having these talks, when you first meet a person, and it's going to tell you who they are. Because that's another big thing. People lack accountability in their everyday life. Not only relationships, they everyday life.
Another big part of having a healthy relationship is forgiveness.
Yes. You got to have forgiveness. You got to have grace. It's a lot of stuff you have to have. But once again, we use these words and cliche sayings, but we don't. Well, I know I stand on them. I live on them. I stand on these words.
I do too. That's why we're even having this conversation, because I believe like we should, when we're thinking about healthy relationships, we're thinking about looking out for, differences and red flags early on. We're thinking about ways to resolve conflict. We're thinking about giving grace, forgiveness, and we're thinking about truly trying to understand what that other person is experiencing.
Yeah. And we got to stop saying because you never seen it before, that mean it don't exist. Because there's a lot of people that be like, I never seen a healthy marriage before, so I'm not getting married. That has nothing to do with you making your marriage healthy.
Exactly. I think that whatever we say out of our mouth is so powerful.
Yes.
And we're all guilty of negative thinking and negative language.
But that's the evil side of us.
Yes.
We all have, once again, human beings, you have a good, you have a bad. It's a negative and positive. This is why they always say in 5% Nation, you are held accountable for everything you say. Be right and exact, which means that before you open your mouth, make sure you fully thought this out.
I love that.
I
truly love that.
Yes, before you make any type of moves. Because the consequences and the repercussions is going to come. Rather it's going to be good or it's going to be bad. But just know what you did.
Let's talk about the 5% Nation's like key principles. Can you break them down for me?
Well, we got principles, the mathematics, knowledge, wisdom, understanding, freedom, power, equality, God, build or destroy, born. Then you got the supreme alphabets. And that's just the way of life for us. You know what I'm saying? This knowledge came 1964, the father aloft in Harlem. And in New York, it was real big. It was big. And it was teaching men how to be God. Because our rightful place, as you see now, through everyone's getting their histories and they starting to learn these things, a lot of the history that you're now learning came from the 5% Nation. And I don't mean came from it. We was the first person to make knowledge born. Far as we was saying this in the 60s. So now people are now going back to history books and figuring things out. Like, yes, we are gods. Yes, women are earths. We are somebody. We're not what society told us we are. We're not a bunch of monkeys and savages. The human being can be an uncivilized savage when you don't have knowledge of self. That's the key. Now that goes back to everything that we talked about. It all comes back to your knowledge of self. Once you have knowledge of self and you know who you are and you understand you're the true and living supreme being, you have a different understanding of all of this. So you now live a righteous life. You know what I'm saying? And it's just it's a lot.
It's also about standards. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like in order for me to navigate this space while I'm here on earth, I should have these standards to help me understand what I need to be doing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's principles. It's everything. It's everything. And it's nothing to play with.
When we talk about dating, for example, right? Because I always go back to that. Let's talk about who pays on the first date.
Well, I'll pay on the first date because that's just me. I don't really get into the debating about who pays because I have a certain thing about myself. So I pay all the time. Even my son, I've talked to my son and he's like, Daddy, when I take the girl out that I talk to, I pay for all the food. I said, that's a good gesture. If that's how you feel and you're able to do it, no problem. But do I feel like a person should say it's mandatory for a man to do it? I don't know because I'm not that person. So I really can't speak what it is. I don't really know. I know for me, I always pay on the first date. Always.
Do you believe that being in the wrong relationship can set you back years?
Absolutely. It goes back to being the mental part. Everything goes back to the mental part because what happens when you're in a wrong relationship? It mentally drains you. And now you got this baggage. Now you become dysfunctional.
Have you ever been in a relationship like that?
Absolutely. No.
What was that like? How did you get out of that?
It was with my kid's mother. Mm-hmm. It was draining, but I also took accountability for me being draining too because I didn't know a lot of stuff either. Like, that's why it goes back to me saying take accountability. So as I started to take accountability and understand these things, I had to look at myself like, you was her villain. She might have been your villain, but you was hers. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, and once you start that negative energy in a relationship, I think like people start feeding off of it, and it's like a game where it's like back and forth.
It's tennis.
Yeah, it's tennis, back and forth, and you don't want that type of relationship.
Nope.
If you're gonna be together, you want it to be positive, and the minute you start seeing that this is becoming a negative interaction where it's kind of like tit for tat, someone has to be the more mature person.
But people also think that's normal. When you got people that's thinking it's normal, this firsthand for them.
Or they just love dysfunction.
Yeah, then that's the problem. They love dysfunction. So it's like,
what's like the top 3 things you would say that people should do to learn more about the 5% Nation and just those, those qualities that you've developed over time?
you got to seek it in self first and foremost.
Mm-hmm.
And there's schools. You got the School of Mecca.
Mm-hmm.
It's in Harlem on 100 and whatever street that is. I can't remember right now.
Mm-hmm.
You got another school in Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
Just go and talk to the guards and just let them explain this knowledge to you. But once again, you got to seek it in self, because I could tell you who you are and you could say you a savage, you a demon. So it doesn't matter. You're going to be who you're going to be regardless.
Yeah. And, it's so funny because you always want to speak to your higher self. That's what we have to think about when we're thinking about relationships and just our time spent on earth.
Mm-hmm.
We got to always tune into our higher self. And the minute we see that we're operating from a lower level thinking.
Yes, you got to examine yourself. And
Right?
it's called self-reflection, examining yourself. Nobody is above examination.
Yes.
The minute you feel you above examination, you're going to crash. Nobody's above examination. Self-reflect. See where you went wrong. See what's going wrong in your life. Take control. Don't try to control the next person. Control yourself first and foremost.
Yeah.
Fix yourself. Don't
on
worry about
yourself.
the next person. Worry about you. If everybody took that logic and said, yo, I'm fixing myself, I'm going to do this right, the rest of the people will follow.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with the law of littering. If I don't see you litter, I'm not going to litter. So guess what we're going to have? A clean community. Because nobody is going to litter.
I love that. Thank you, Nashawn, for joining me. Unofficial Therapy. We'll be back.